Hi. So when I say that I don't like doing a lot of warmer colors, I really mean it. But I really enjoyed this painting that I did last week, and I forced myself to paint some warmer colors as like a base. And so I had this painting that I wasn't thrilled about, and so I knew I was going to paint over it, and I was starting to go for the white, and then I thought, well, why not start with orange and see what happens. So this is totally out of my comfort zone, but then again, this is what I'm wanting to do with this time, is get out of my comfort zone and play today. So yeah, that's what I'm doing by painting this orange. So I had the orange. I'm working on the orange now. I have to figure out, I need to find a better placement for the camera. But sitting with the orange, trying to figure out a better way to be with things that I'm uncomfortable with. And as much as I am scared of using like a heavy presence of warm colors in my work, which doesn't make sense because I find that a lot of my work is playful and it's for me to play with. Finding play and fun in warm colors can be hard for me. I don't understand it. Anyway. So now we're getting almost too light. And also I haven't really been considering like composition. This area in the middle is kind of bright. I was thinking about making it a little darker around this edge. I just did this painting. Well, you can't see the whole thing. Okay, a little bit. So this corner is kind of stayed a little darker, and I love how light and airy this other corner is. So I think that I'm gonna make this bottom corner. Okay, so I just said something about kind of leaving this bottom corner a little darker, and I think I'm gonna add some brown in a minute, but I thought to kind of keep with the warm theme, I would add some yellow. Just this whole vibe makes me a little bit uncomfortable, and I think it's part of it is because it's so intense. I'm an introvert, and so I like things to be like a little bit calm and comforting. Ooh. And not so in your face. But sometimes messages need to be bold and strong and intense to get across. I'm finding that when I want to, oops, when I want to kind of use more social justice kind of protest with my work, messages with my work, that you have to be a little bit more bold. You can be subtle, but that only works for really bright. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put it just yet. Maybe in here a little bit. This is like, if I'm gonna like a red, this is gonna be my favorite. It's very bright. And I'll add a little bit over in this corner. So one of my favorite artists, Amira Rahim, she said in one of the courses that I took of hers that it's best to use the same color in a couple different areas of the piece, especially, well, she didn't say especially, but I think that if they're bright, then you can kind of move the eyes around the paint. Okay, let's see. Now I'm going to add some more of this bright pink, but it's really subtle on this because it's kind of transparent. So I'm going to add it where there's lighter colors to bring up the saturation. Ooh. I still am not sure what's going to happen in this middle area. I'm kind of confused by that right now, but I'm really liking the movement, some of these like details going on around the outside, so I'm just going to keep working. Things will start to be making sense pretty soon, hopefully. If not, you just keep working. I think this needs to be a little bit of a different color going on in the middle. I'm not sure what yet. I do have this fern green. I'm going to add a little bit. It's not my favorite idea because it's kind of, well, it's like a warm green, so it's still part of the scheme, and my brush wasn't clean, so it actually makes this orange more muddy, which I'm totally okay with, actually. Let's see. I also have this lemon yellow. I'm going to add a little bit over here, and notice how I'm not using a palette. This is my whoa. This is my way to just cut down on time. I have like very limited time in my studio. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I'm not thrilled about the shape, but if I keep mixing it, it's gonna get muddier and muddier. But it also just turns into like a lighter orange, so I'm gonna test that out in one area. Do appreciate lightening it up. I'm not thrilled about this area now, so I'm gonna do some of this rose pink. Oi, I didn't clean my brush from that yellow. So it's kind of muddy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean my brush. Ugh, it's disappointing. I like to, well, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to add some fluidity to it. Okay, so this middle part is still really kind of confusing to me, but this is still very much layer 2. I did the solid orange for the layer 1, so this I'm considering a layer 2, although it could have very easily been a layer 1 also, seeing as this is like more of the base of what's going to happen. Whew, okay. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this yellow ochre there. I'm not quite up to Bob Ross's standards yet with the naming of colors as I'm going, but this is more about the process than it is about the product and what products I'm using and exactly what I'm doing, because I don't want to necessarily to recreate exactly what I'm doing, but to use it as inspiration for your own creative endeavors. And I think I'm gonna stop right now with layer 2. It's got a lot of bright vibe going on. Let me see if I can show you. So, orange on top of orange, on top of pink, on top of red. I'm really liking this part right here. It's really hard to see. Okay, so some more things have happened since I was on the phone. Since the last part, but I just wanted to say now I'm gonna start adding some more colors. I went through and put some more pink details. I think I'm gonna do even a few more of this bright pink, just add a little bit more of a pop to this corner. And now I'm thinking too about revisiting this area, seeing what that means. I think I have to do another color in here. But now I'm gonna just do like a little bit of a wash of this pink over this orange and see what that does. Yeah, I like that. It's still feeling too hot for me, and by hot I mean like the warm colors that I'm using feel too warm. So typically what I would do is start with a blue or green and then try to add a little bit of a warmth of either an orange or yellow or this fuchsia color even, which is pretty warm for an, or pretty cool for a warm color. But now I get to do the opposite. So I get to start with it being warm and then add something cooler like cobalt, and we're just gonna put it on there and see what happens. I'm a little bit worried I'm gonna like ruin it at this point, but because I'm playing, there's no possible way for me to ruin it. So let me shake this up a little bit. And I'm just gonna go right almost to the middle in here. I had no plans, so now I'm thinking maybe I should think more about what shape I want to make with this blue. And it's pretty transparent, so like even I'm looking at it on the screen and it's like too much or too little. Just in the middle, just putting it all out there. I think I may try to make it more of like I was gonna say pizza. Triangle shape. Feels like kind of scary to release that much of the painting. And I got a little like spill area right there. I'm gonna leave that because I'm gonna come back over. Gotta do at least one more layer of that. But while I'm thinking about what I've done, I'm gonna add a little bit of that same color in some other places where it's not so dramatic. Okay, that's a little thicker. I like it there. I like it there more than I like it here in the middle. What I might try to do, because it's feeling a little intense, is add a little bit of like a sandy color and to lighten it. So I'm all for planning out paintings, and I'm all for like having a set idea of how you want it to look, but I'm also really here for not having a plan and just trying to be what is the word? Spontaneous. So they talk about like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of making it up. And yeah, I like that. In abstract expressionism, how you kind of go with what feels right. And I was trying to introduce comfort to this painting because I was feeling uncomfortable. But now I feel even more uncomfortable. So there's that. I am going to eventually love that. I've decided to go with like a little bit of a band of some more comfort colors in here. I'm like debating whether or not to leave that kind of accidental spray. I think I am going to leave that in there. Because I'm not a huge fan of this area, so I think I'm going to do like a band across. I do, however, like this area a lot, so I might just kind of cut through there somehow. Also, I think because of the way I'm debating, do I do the lighter this way? I think I have to do the lighter this way. I think I really like how it top right, it leads to the top right. And a lot of times they say, like, because in the United States we read from left to right, that you want to kind of tell a story, that you read the painting from left to right. And then also past to future. Oh, that was a lot of paint. Make sure it's still recording. Yep. Past to future. And so you want to kind of tell your story in the way that we read. Sometimes you drop all the rules and you say, I'm going to do whatever I want. Okay. That is solid. That's a thick paint. Thick. So I've really gone and done it. I've really switched out this whole painting. It's no longer anywhere near where it was. And I've got to decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And in the meantime, I'm taking all the excess paint and just adding it to another canvas paper, because there is a lot of that color on the canvas, on this board, this wood panel. It's too much. I don't want that. That's pretty intense. I kind of hate it, but I'm gonna push forward. And I'm gonna do, oh, I don't want to ruin this area. Like I'm thinking something through in here. Okay. This is like totally unplanned. I have like a very vague idea of what I'm gonna do, which is something kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of hate it. Still. But I'm trying to let my intuition guide me. And so somehow this will be the right choice. Somehow. I don't know how yet. Feels like I've let go for a little while and was giving my intuition a little bit too much of the reins with this blue. I was saying sometimes something that felt right doesn't feel right anymore. And so I thought it was a good idea, and maybe ultimately it will be a good idea to add the blue, but right now in this moment it doesn't feel quite right. So I've added some of this light purple. Ooh, that was hard. Still doesn't feel right. And this green is like really taking over the warmth of these other colors. Nope. Okay, well now I'm feeling the urge to kind of introduce some of these cooler colors into some of the rest of the painting, now that I'm going to try to work my way back, and I may not see these exact colors on my brush again. So I found this color in the middle here, and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to hopefully work this back into being warmer, but in this moment I'm trying to find a place for some cool tones to hang out on the rest of the painting. That was a leap of faith that things would turn out. I'm still optimistic. I don't know what the shape is. I'm not loving it, but I'm trying to work my way back. You go through these times, like when you're doing something for other people. Well, I do. Like, I'm doing this to share with the world, and I'm doing this so that others feel emboldened to do their own play. And sometimes when you do things for other people, you take away part of why you were doing it in the first place. Forget what was happening, why it was, why you were sitting down to do it in the first place. And for me, it was to release into this warmth. And then I took it away. The whole point of this piece was to get out of my comfort zone, and boy howdy, I got out of my comfort zone, tried to climb back into my comfort zone. And now I'm reminding myself that the comfort zone is where the great things happen. Releasing those expectations that everything must be comfortable to be right for you. It's hard because the orange wasn't feeling right for me, but then adding the blue back into it really made it feel uncomfortable. And now I'm just kind of muddying this up a little bit because my brush is dirty and the paint is still wet. But if I wet it a little bit more, then I'm able to play with it a little bit. Okay, yes. I think I needed to do smaller doses of the cooler colors. I think they're still vital to this piece, but smaller doses. I think I'm gonna do, where is that magenta? I was talking before about how this magenta is like the coolest of these warm colors that I have. So I'm gonna try to gradually add a little bit. It's making this like mauve kind of color that I'm not a super big fan of, but I do prefer it over this red. Whew, that was a roller coaster. Still don't. Now I'm remembering as I finish using that gray that I wanted to keep this corner light and airy. So we're gonna see what other colors I have. Okay, this is Arctic, and we'll try to go over that a little bit, make it a little lighter while it's still wet. That also feels like a mistake, but I'm gonna add it somewhere else too. I don't love that. I just dipped my finger in the water and tried to get rid of that dot. This is still tacky, so it's not quite ready to go over yet. I do need to go over that area though. This, I think I'm gonna try to add more yellow to. Okay, last time we were here, I made all of this orange. Last time I had a studio time, which was on Saturday, and I basically did this entire painting, but I started fresh. It was already starting to be a different kind of representational painting, and I went all over it with orange, which was outside my comfort zone. This was supposed to be, this painting is gonna be maybe potentially titled outside of my comfort zone, and so I wanted to bring some warmth back into, or some cool tones back into it, and then I made the kind of bold choice to do this large flat solid shape, which I'm not super thrilled about yet. I think I'm going to do another layer or two to kind of make it kind of stand off of the piece, and make it really bold. This area right in here needs work, but I pretty much like every other area around the whole painting. There's a couple places where there's like splotches. I'll go over that. I'm going to do that right now as I'm talking. Yeah, I have to figure out this area right here, which I'm not in love with. And then do this main middle piece, and then I think that will be maybe it. I don't know. Another splotchy part right there, which I think I'm also going to go over. Huh. Yeah, I like that anyway. Okay. I had some places where this Payne's Gray got on there, and just little teeny bits of it. And it looks kind of dirty, but hopefully I can go over it with a little bit darker color. Or a little bit lighter color. That was that rose pink. I'm going to try to go back over it with that rose pink. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then there's rose pink again up here. This area. I'm thinking I'm gonna stick with this orange. I'm gonna try to see what happens if I do this orange over that red. Which works right here. I like this now. Now I'm not so sure about this area still. I might do that magenta, more of that magenta. Let's try that. I'm going to wet my brush and try and get around here so it's still magenta, but it's not as solid. Whoa. I put way too much paint on there, but it's gonna be okay. Maybe I'll try to do a palette knife to move it around because it's a lot of paint. I can tell how uneven the paint is because of the way that it's maneuvering. It's catching on, this palette knife is catching on a lot of little bumps in the paint. That's incredibly uneven. Okay, now I'm going to try and come in with the brush and make it more smooth. This area now is extremely, I'm gonna make it, see if I can get it closer. It's now extremely textured. Dang, I gotta figure out how to focus. Okay, now it's kind of focused on there. It looks really textured. There's a lot of like grittiness to it, as well as like layers of paint. Anyway, so that's that. So, I think I don't really have too much of a choice but to leave this. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but I think that's kind of the theme of this painting, is just... Did you see that? Can you see that right there? I just added to this. Now it's going to be bigger. Okay. Okay, it's weird. But I like it. And I think I'm gonna keep it this way, at least for now, and get another painting going.